Today we are meeting. Uh, Good morning, Abhishek. We are meeting to discuss the core area, which is like project appraisal in detail, right? Just to give a kind of briefing that what we have been doing so far is like we started with introduction to project financing and introduction to banking, introduction to credit in session 1, then followed with 2 sessions about SME banking, about what is SME banking, what are the definitions, and the maybe the products which related to SME customers, and like what are the sources of financing. We are mainly into entrepreneurs, so we completed that. Then as a module 3 or maybe overall area about microfinancing, so we completed that. So thereafter we started doing some ingredients like peripheral subjects or the topics related to the project financing, about working capital management, about break-even analysis, financial, non-financial analysis, right? And those things actually, and so we wanted to do those things prior to taking up the project appraisal. So the project appraisal is nothing, basically the combination of what we have been doing so far. So today actually I have shared with you 4 documents. Right? One is the presentation, one is the reading material, and there is another snapshot of what the project appraisal is, right? Project appraisal basically is a kind of evaluation of several components in terms of financial, in terms of uh, marketing, management, legal, those feasibilities, right? So once we say we are comfortable with all feasibilities, then we say the project is, go ahead product. And when you say, how we are going to do the management analysis, management feasibility, then you may require non-financial tools that we have done. Let's say if you want to take it up a financial feasibility, yes, we need the financial statement and ratio analysis and the forecasting into the equation. So that's what we have been done, and the applicability of those when we are trying to evaluate the project, right? So then again, the part of the that document is the risk in project appraisal, where when you say when you are trying to evaluate the market feasibility, there may be some negatives in the market feasibility, like about competition and all that. So that could be a market risk in the other side. So you need to address that as well. So that's the kind of a document. Then I have also shared a kind of a document about key items in project cost computation. So what we are trying to do throughout this whatever syllabus or the project appraisal is, so we need to ensure what is the the like possibilities or the feasibilities to support the project, what are the negatives, what are the risk of the discouraging the project, and what exactly the cost. So we need to understand the project cost also. If you remember correct, when we are understanding the forecasting, we were telling like this is the machine cost, this is the infrastructure cost, so this is the project cost. So we need to know the project cost also in order to understand, let's say, investment feasibility or the financial feasibility. If you remember correct, when we are undertaking the investment feasibility, we were told that the total cost is some 500 million, income is 100 million each. So how do you get by this 500 million? So that is basically, you can drill down to several project cost items. So that documents also I have given, and it basically what are the checklists in further understanding the project cost. Let's say land. When you say land, what is the cost relevant to the land? Piece of the land development, fencing, other development, and those will all together say this is the cost of the land. Then machinery, installation to other spare parts to, and then after sales recover, after sales management and all that. So will be the cost of the machinery, cost of the vehicle. So everything together will say this is the total cost of the project. So these are the documents that I have shared with you, right? So this is basically the last part of the project cost computation, project appraisal, project evaluation, risk identification, and all that. So once we have done this, then we have almost done the syllabus except one, that is about how to manage the sick projects, how to manage the non-performing advances, how to manage the bad project. Because whenever you do, when you implement it, there may be a chances some project going bad. And what you are going to do is basically the last part of the syllabus, which we are planning to do the next week. So having said that, so we are trying to start the project appraisal in detail, right? Okay. So we'll start with the this one, right? Right. Basically, project appraisal is assessment of a project in terms of economic and financial viability. When you say economic and financial viability, so this basically have all other components involved in. So itself, it's a financial viability, economic viability, management viability, market viability, legal viability, and everything together. So lending institutions will make an independent and objective assessment of each and every aspect of investment proposal. When customer submitted the project document, right? So we are trying to do several independent feasibilities, evaluation in terms of several items, KPIs, checklist we have identified. And then we need to do this basically because to pre-sanction supervision, because before granting a credit, before approving a credit, you are going to check something. Once you approve, again you need to be vigilant before giving the money to the customer, because this money has to invest in proper or intended purpose. If not, we might have bigger problems in recovery. If you remember correct, project debt is going to repay only through project cash flows. If the project is not going to take it off, then you are not in a position to repay the project debt. That's the thing that you need to be keep in your mind. Taking a second look critically and carefully by a person who is not involved or connected, because now here, when you say project appraisal, project document, project report may be prepared by a customer, entrepreneur, or maybe consultant, right? But as a banker, you are trying to see it in a different perspective, the independent party. So you also do a similar critical detailed analysis on the viability of the project, right? Example, let's say a customer coming and telling you he want to put up an apartment in whatever, let's say very what do you call prominent area. So come up with say 1 billion project report. So as a banker, you are not going to accept everything as it is. You trying to do a different independent analysis onto that, into that. There you see what the financial viability, what the economic viability, the marketing viability, legal, management, technical, environmental. So all sorts of feasibilities. You have different checklists, right? And then you come up say, yes, economically this is not feasible. Financially, yes, it's feasible. In terms of marketing, there is a feasibility. So like that, you have those feasibilities, positives, and you have some negatives also. So that's basically our intention in project appraisal, project evaluation, right? Generally, it's a function of several parameters, right? There may be so many parameters, but just for the understanding, we say the project is a function of some variables, GMELTR, right? So we'll see what are these GMELTR. I is infrastructure, G is the economic policy, M market condition, F entrepreneur's financial strength, which is equity or bank loan. Sometimes the entrepreneur would come and do a kind of project through his own funds. Sometimes a combination of bank loan and equity. So our role is basically is coming up when the customer comes with the project report and wanted to part finance through a bank loan, right? Then T is entrepreneur's technical or managerial capability. R is a risk factors of the business or the project. So every project depends on these parameters. If you take the just example that we took about the apartment, then we need to know what is I, what are the infrastructure, about water, about light, power, and about other road and kind of thing. So those are important. Those are the infrastructure requirement. And then government economic policy, whether the government is encouraging those things about housing and apartment and like, so what type of encouragement is there? Government is giving some tax concessions, government is giving some some concessions at the top level apartments, maybe medium type of apartments. So that's the economic policy. Market, what's the demand and supply, what's the customer's purchasing power, what's like customer taste and differences, what's like competition. So very important. Entrepreneur's financial strength, equity and bank loan, how much the customer could bring, how much that the customer is trying to source it as pre-sales, how much the customer is taken as a loan, whether it's a 1 billion total project, customer is asking 400 million bank loan, 200 million equity, another 400 million through customer advances. So is it feasible? It's a good mix, right? Then techno managerial capability, the customer has done similar sort of projects and what's the success ratio, and how he is like get the support from techno side, maybe engineers, consultant, contractors, whatever related approvals relate those things. Techno managerial, who is like managing, who is doing the architecture, who is in the marketing, whether the outsource or not, the customer has itself having the capacity, right? Risk factors, when you say there are positives, the flip side could be a risk on that. What's the market risk, what the technical risk, what the environmental risk, what the legal risk, what the financial risk. So those things. So based on that, success of the project will differ. Let's say everything high, everything risky, everything negative, you might not undertake the project. So some parameters positive, some negative. So 50-50, you might take a calculated call. So everything positive, so you might undertake the project. It depends on then the time to time. Like let's say when you talk about the apartment, 3-4 years back, so everybody is for that because it's happening. People are trying to purchase apartment, right? Banks were giving loans, government was supporting, so positive. But right now there are some positives and negatives. The customers are not so much willing to purchase, banks are not encouraging in terms of financing, right? Banks are again not providing say induced like housing loan sort of thing. So some kind of issues, so not exactly attractive or lucrative market outside there. So then time to time also it's very critical as a project officer, as a project manager, because customer could come and tell this is very great project, I'm very sure that we can launch this, I have these type of positives, and but still you're not taking that his words 100%. Right? What you are trying to do is you basically try to get an independent view, and then you try to analyze it and see how exactly it's going to happen, and then you take a call independently. Yes, we are happy with that, these are the risks, these are the mitigants, so we are taking a calculated risk, and then we see it. Okay, before moving to this, any questions up to now? Though not a very great area, not a difficult, but whether that you have kind of initial idea on the project financing, project appraisal. Any questions? Basically, we are trying to understand what are the factors that we would look into in project appraisal at very high level. Once you see this is a project, is basically project appraisal is evaluation of some areas, visibilities subject to attached risk. So if you're happy with that, then you proceed. If you're not happy with that, you are not proceeding. I mean to say high risk against the benefits, you might not proceeding. But if low risk against high benefits, would proceed. That's what we have just learned so far. Any questions? Thanks, Aman Mali. Right. So let's move on. Then we need to also understand some of those things in project financing. Like when you say we are trying to do these evaluations under the financial feasibility, you need to know all those things. One is cost of the project and components. That's why I was telling you I have given you a separate sheet about what are the cost items and how we are going to judge the particular cost items. And you have some benchmark per square feet cost of, say, 5-star hotel, 3-star hotel, 6-star hotel, no star. So you should have some data. Otherwise, customer come and tell you, I am going to put up a 5-star hotel, and this is the, like, you know, the cost. Okay, you get that, and you say 500 whatever sort of, say, we will say 3,000 square feet, for example, right? Or maybe we say per room, for example, that's about, say, what do you call, 300 square feet per room. And then we know for sure the 5-star roughly cost per square feet is maybe somewhat this much. And then going by his rate, you see the cost per square feet or the cost per standard room, right? Maybe 8 million, for example. Say it's something about 50 room hotel, and the total cost is 400 million. But as per you, it should be minimum 500. So you see 100 million, sure. So maybe the project cost is not reflecting correct prices, correct levels. It's like 100 million low. So some issue. If you say underpricing, underestimating, it's again could be issue because he could not complete the project. Or maybe overstated, maybe 500, but he put 700. And again question. So generally, per room should be 10 million, even the 5-star hotel. But you is something 12 million per room. Why is that? So then you keep on asking. So in order to do that, you need to know what are your project cost components. Land, building, machinery, working capital, contingency, other equipment. So like that, there may be several project cost items. And for each, you know how you are going to check. Then very easy. Otherwise, say 600 million. If you don't know the project cost component breakdowns, very difficult to argue or negotiate. But when you have the breakdowns, components, checklist, some sources, benchmark, easy to negotiate and arrive the proper cost of the project. Number 2, implementation schedule. So that's fine to have a cost components and agreed. And then how we are going to implement, what time, which activity, what is the starting time, what is the finishing time, what are the parallel activities, and based on that you need to disperse your money and customer bring his equity. In apartment example, so maybe the purchasing of the land may be activity number 1. So for that, the customer would put 40, you put 60, and then all together you give the checks to the supplier. So that's a transaction done. Then come up with the building, structural, concreting, slab work, finishing. So like that, you can, you know, have some activities list down with proper timing. Then you can disperse. Finishing, this is the cost. This is the loan portion. This is the customer portion. So better control. Then financing plan, equity, bank, any other. That also you need to understand how much, when to come, what's the percentage, what are the agreements. If you take apartment project, part could be equity, that's sponsor would bring, and part would be bank. Bank would give a term loan to working capital to whatever. Another part could be customer pre-sales advances. So all 3 sources would tell you this is how I am going to finance a 1 billion project cost. This is the breakdown. And what's the type of agreement? What's the type of condition? How it's basically is coming to the project. The The customer advances may not come day one. Initially 10%, subsequently 5% or whatever, like that. Customer equity again may not come day one, 30% initially, so throughout the project. Similarly, bank finance. So you need to understand what are the sources, what are the users. Condition, time schedule for release of funds. That again, what are the terms and conditions? What are the pre-effective conditions? What are the post-disbursement conditions? What are the special conditions? What are the general conditions? Like same, what are like other loans, you need to do the same thing here. And time schedule for release of funds. What is the time? What's the amount? What are the evidences that we need to collect? So like that, you need to have that also. That to be there. So basically, these are some of the things that you need to keep it in mind in project financing. By the way, friends, that if you do have any questions, just send us a message, and then and there, so we'll discuss, which again give a further sort of discussion would be helpful in understanding the project appraisal exercise. So implementation, I was telling, implementation is important. So implementation is basically involved with fund release, monitoring, supervision, and those things. So when you say, yes, we agreed upon the project, we have approved a kind of a credit facility for that project, and then most important part is how they are going to do that. What are the milestones of completion? How the funds being utilized? Whether the project is in line with the original time schedule. Otherwise, there is cost overruns. I mean, recent past we had that experience, because without COVID, we could have sometimes completed some of the projects. But with this COVID, obviously there were 3-4 months shutdown. No construction, or no other processing, no other work related to projects took place. Then what happened? Obviously, a time extension now to be considered. Otherwise, the original plan is to say from January you are generating cash flow. Now it's not forthcoming. It could be next June due to delay in the project implementation plus the market revival. So now you need to revisit some of the projects which you have already undertaken. You are working on. So in order to do that, implementation is very key. If you don't know at what stage your customer and the project is working on, progressing, very difficult to say, we have granted this much, work has done up to this much, and so many problems could be there, right? So post-sanction, importance of the supervision and monitoring, things to be looked, follow-up action. These are the things that under implementation, one can look into. Post-sanction supervision, once dispersed, what are the things that you would look into? Whether money is going to intended purpose, in utilized, and then any cost overruns, right? And any issues, right, in utilizing, whether the customer is in compliance the conditions as he agreed, so those things. Then supervision monitoring from the customer perspective, bank perspective, maybe the independent party also. So depending on the complexity, sometimes we hire independent guy, maybe engineer, maybe consultant, maybe architect, maybe a chartered marketeer, so chartered architect. So we may not depend 100% on customers' data, customers' feedback, customers' references. So we might also hire independent party. Or both customer and myself, bank, agreed a third party. And then we'll ask them to do a kind of independent supervision and monitoring of the project. While we also doing, the customer also doing. The things, what are the things that you would look into in implementation? These are milestones with respect to each project cost items. To this. And follow-up action. What we could do if we are lagging behind the project, and what we can do. We need to bring additional resources and do it. So we need to discuss with the customer. So you do a lot of things. Maybe sudden rains come, then you can't, do the outside work. So then you switch to inside work. But initial agreement is initially outside, later inside. Now you need to switch it to inside work. You need to advance some money for inside work, not the outside work. You might have to, import some machine, those things, because the time is passing. So, revisit some of the things, and then you do the follow-up. Not the original project milestone, and some others as well. Very important, project implementation. So, lastly, evaluation and the review. Analyzing the success or failure of the project of relaunching. But this is important. At the kind of a last, so you have so many things. And finally, you might say evaluation, review, just to take what are the learning points. Understand what we have done correct, what we have gone wrong. Very important, those things. So based on that, so you could do some feedback, right, from the project. So then it's important to relaunch for new projects, other projects. Let's say in apartment, you do 1, 2, 3, like several apartments. So when you are trying to do those things, probably you might get some positives from the customer and some negative feedback of the project, which you can avoid in future projects. Those are the evaluation. Whatever things, maybe a simple exercise you do, you have to review what you have, your activity, and you learn something. Evaluate what went wrong, what went right. Then you can, minimize those re-happening in future. Project management is basically you try to apply your skills, knowledge, and competencies, methods, and all that in order to run the project smoothly, effectively, efficiently. It's basically about planning, budgeting, organizing, leading, coordinating, a set of management activities. So many tools are there. So many workarounds are there, because you need to those things in order to get the project done within the agreed timelines, agreed resources, agreed cost. Example, we might have heard about Gantt charts, Excel techniques, simulation techniques, network analysis, project management tools. So many things are there. So you try to use those to manage the project. The project is a complex one, not like purchasing a land, building a home is not a project. Maybe constructing a harbor, highway project, apartment, a bigger industrial, say, manufacturing plant. So those are maybe 5-star hotel. So those are like, projects. It is not possible maybe one man to, come and, do it. And so many people are involved. So many dependencies. So then you need to have some concrete arrangements, tools, tested tools. So if you are trying to do those things, then your projects could manage well. That is the way that you are managing. So very important part in project. So we talk about cost computation, implementation, reviewing, sanctioning, management, some items, because I just wanted to share these things in some question papers. If they ask about what do you understand by project management, what do you understand by cost computation, what do you understand by project follow-up, what do you understand by project reviewing, so you need to know something, so you can write it, a kind of a short note. So for that, these slides are important. Okay. Before moving to the rest of the presentation, that's about these stages which we are trying to go in detail about each item in the project appraisal. Any questions that you need to raise? What are any thoughts, any feedbacks? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, it's clear, right? I know this is not difficult, but only thing is we need to get these things uh, very much positively, because very important area for exams, right? Then what I am trying to understand further here is stages. Now in a project appraisal, right, you have to know, you have to know what are the stages of the project appraisal, because I was telling you, yes, the sponsor, consultant, and others, got together and they prepare project report for you. The our example, say apartment, they come up and say, I want to, start the project. So this is the project report, right? And I want to get the finance from you, right? But as a banker, you are not going to depend on the project report done by the third party or the customer. You also have to follow a own process. So in that process, together with the consultation with the customer, so we are trying to do these type of activities. Example, preliminary discussions with the customer. Preliminary discussions, that's one. Pursuing the project report. So pursuing the project report. Collection of information and facts. Consultation. Conducting the appraisal. Customer interview. Site inspection. Conclusion. So these are the main activities, so which we'll further discuss, right? What are these things? Like customer comes, like generally what we do, we'll have some discussion with the customer. What is the project? What is your experience? What are the markets that you are planning to do? Whether you have taken the approval. So you have like very in detail discussions with a couple of discussions. Maybe first one, second one, third one. Later you visit the customer and further discussions, right? So this is something to get a project idea. Plus then you have a project report to go through the report and try to further internalize. Not stopping that. So you collect some infos and facts, maybe relating to the project, which is not within the project, or maybe available outside the project report, within the bank, within the industry, so some other sources through internet. So you collect, because you need to further understand, further support, right, about the project. Then if you think that you are not capable, your bank is not capable to get these things forward, you might hire, you might get some expert opinion. It could be something engineers, lawyers, marketeers. So they are maybe respected personalities. So probably it could be at the cost of the borrower. So you may request a party independent to you and the borrower and get the kind of opinion. Or if not, if you do have internal resources to engineers and all that, you might refer them and get a further idea. Then you do a appraisal, conducting the appraisal. So that part we will go to the next slide and do appraisal in terms of market, in terms of management, in terms of all other. That was, we talked of feasibility. So based on that, you come up with positives, negatives. Negatives are the risk, positives are the feasibilities that we are talking about. And then again, you sit with the customer, right? So whether we are in a position to proceed, positioning to proceed, Yeah, if we are proceeding, what are the things that we need to fine tune, right? And then we agree upon something. Also, we carry a site inspection. It could be at first level or second level, or it could be at a later level also. There's no like hard and fast rule that you have to visit after everything done. No, maybe you go upfront also. You might get an what do you call first look, initial look, understanding about the project site and those things. Then you come up, say, so happy with that. So this is the way that we are going to do, and then you take some internal approvals and all that. So that's what we have just concluded in the activities that listed under the project proposal. So these are mainly the activities one could, focus in project appraisal. So next we try to understand this conducting the appraisal, which is body of this presentation. What are the areas? What are the things that we could look into? That actually I have given in a separate sheet, like feasibility studies and the risk is basically this appraisal checklist. So you need to know, for the exam purposes, when they ask about what is market appraisal, you need to know what is market appraisal. Write a short note, 3-4 lines. That is a necessity, which we have again iterating here, because we have got the questions and we can get questions future as well. Right. These are the project appraisal, but the things that we are going to do, because these are the activities. Within the activity, we are conducting appraisal by the independent party, by the bank. And what are those? Market, technical, entrepreneur, environmental, financial, economic, risk. These are again the feasibility study that we have been speaking of. Positives, negatives, again risk, which I have shared with the document. Then they might ask questions, as I just mentioned. What is market appraisal? Write a short note. Then you need to know what is market, what are the checklists with that. Also, you can give a kind of example. Once you have done 1, 2, 3, 4 items, and then say example is like this. Maybe a competitive analysis, it's one of the market appraisal. Demand supply analysis, one of that. Future outlook, one of that. If you now remember correct, in order to do that, we have done a previous ingredients. Remember, we talk about non-financial tools. Out of that, one could be BCG matrix and the Porter's five forces model, which require to undertake the market appraisal. So without that, you can't say the market is good, bad, ugly. You can't say. Highly competitive, then you have done some analysis. The product is at this level, it could be something BCG. Because those tools now could be used to do the market appraisal. Customer might have done within the project report also, but it could be some base. Then only you can say the market is like that. Management, SWOT analysis could be useful. Environmental, pest analysis could be useful. Otherwise, you can't say environment is not supporting. Or environment is supporting. Because it's a huge project. 5 billion investment. You just say, environment is very good. No, you can't say. You have to do pestle. Go into very detail. Each item under each checklist. You remember we did so many work in the pestle. With example. It's a case study also. So like that, say when you say tourism, hotel, you need to, do a proper study, detailed study about tourism, yesterday, today, future. Then you have to come up with the degree of risk of the industry. And then you say environment is, not so great, moderate. It's not high time. It's not the right time to go for a 5-star hotel. Maybe another 2 years, we might not have that outlook as great. Then you need to, revisit the requirement. So, so many things is coming. These are maybe 5-6 lines, but there are so many things behind which could be useful to understand these areas. Right. Hope you have got that. So having said that, so we move to the market appraisal. So when again Tamina gives the write a short note on the market appraisal, I think I have given 2 slides here. Out of the 2 slides, you need to know at least 4 or 5 points, which I have listed here. And then 1-line description like this, or further elaboration as per your example. Also, you can come up with some example in describing a kind of a market appraisal activity. So with that, you are capable of doing the market appraisal. Right. So before that, I just give you kind of a, if you look at this, here it's a project feasibility. That's what we are trying to do is. Here there are several things that you are going to do. These are the feasibilities that you are trying to do. If you are happy with those things, subject to, these are the, the short notes or the checklist that I have been talking about. Right? There are several feasibilities. When the examiner wanted to write a short note on commercial business or the market feasibility, these are 6 or 7 items. You need to know what exactly and write a short line on this. And then you can bring some tools that you learn here, 5 forces analysis, Michael Porter's analysis, which, tells us a competitive level of the business. Market for the product, so market share, so probably BCG metrics would come and let us know. Demand analysis, nature of competition, break even. So remember, we have done those things, right? So those are the things that you could use it when you are writing a short note. So these are the feasibilities. While we are undertaking, the last line on the previous requirement is about risk, about each financial risk could lead to the credit risk, financial feasibility. The negative things in the financial evaluation feasibility result in a credit or financial risk. And negative things in the market or industry, so result in the market risk. So I like that's what could happen. So this is other very important part, and I want you to go through and memorize these things, which could be useful. So that basically we are discussing here. That's a short note. This is a detailed note. So if you do have any questions, please let me know so that we can discuss then and there. But if not, I will discussing with you because this is not very difficult. But only thing is you need to understand. We'll take one by one and key items for the discussion. Market, product, service. So these are the things that you will look into. Usage, special features, advantages or substitutes. So very important. Take example. When you say apartment, our course example, what are the products? Then the type of apartment that they are going to offer is the product that you are going to discuss here. High-end, low-end, medium level, price per apartment, what are the special features compared to others, durability of this thing, location, very important. So that's how the market is going to set. Right? So if you are, say, offering low-cost apartment in, say, Cinnamon, Colombo 7, probably there may not be buyers because the crowd is for a premium purchase, not the low cost. When you say 300, 400 apartment size and about 15 to 16 million, there may be no buyers, but they may be 1,000 square feet, about 40 million. So probably there may be, because they want some spacing with the pricing, not studio type apartment. So like that. So maybe part of out of the 40 units, maybe 4 or 5 units could be studio, but the rest could be spacious. That's how the people looks into that. That's a product we talk about. Then demand, global, domestic, region. So what the demand in that area, the particular units, particular products, particular features, you need to understand. Then suppliers, local, competition, importing, export potential, and what are the other exporting countries, So you need to understand what are the, there may be not every case you have all those things, but some projects very important area. But if you are into manufacturing, supply is very important. Where you are going to the supply? What are the other countries? What are the terms of trade? What are the quality? Right? So what type of competition in case of exporting your supplies? So like that, you need to know, because your market is a combination of these activities, not just like buying and selling, not just like only competition. There may be so many other things, right? If you go by here, propose arrangement, pricing policy, distribution channels, terms of credit, confirm order, export incentive, and market organization of the project, the company. Very important. Who is heading the marketing function? Very key. If it doesn't have the proper, correct experiences, obviously you do have some problems, right? So very important part is that, right? These are not difficult, but you need to exactly be confident before going to the exam. Now, since we have done so many things, now you need to compile all those into this. Project appraisal is a combination of these several feasibilities and kind of a risk. So if the risk, the positive feasibilities, evaluations, positives outweigh risk, so you proceed. Otherwise, you not proceed. But what we have done so far, what we have learned so far is the ingredients to support this appraisal, identification of these positives, identification of these negatives. That's what we have been doing so far. About break-even to financial analysis to ratio analysis to forecasting, investment is support to investment and financial feasibility. And Porter to BCG to product life cycle and all that to support the market appraisal. And SWOT analysis is basically support management to market to some other these things. And PESTEL is totally to support the environmental analysis. So that's what we have done. So you need to use those to undertake this. And for exam, probably when they say write a short note on market appraisal, you need to write on these, 1 or 2, 3 items. And with what we have learned, and you can further nourish this particular statement. Right. So any questions on the market appraisal? Like it goes like, you have so many, because in practically we have everything here, list out, and then when we interview with the customer, so we'll pick and choose what are most important for the particular market, particular project. So in practical, it's not difficult because we have a checklist of say 30, 40 items. You pick and choose what are relevant of this project. And then you discuss further with the customer to gather information outside, inside, together with the customer. Then you come up with say overall, you're happy with the market, not happy with the market, competitive market, problematic market. So then we say marketing, evaluation, feasibility is not great as we thought. So negotiate and tell the customer, so this is not the right time in terms of market. Why not you go for the export market, not the local market? You maybe change your project sometimes with idea. So based on the information, based on the data. Right. Any questions? Any questions? Jaini, Nilushika, Abhishek, Samanmali, you are with me? So okay, and you are understanding this? Any gray areas? Any difficulty? Okay, thanks, Abhishek. What about others? So anything that you are not, think it's not, the flow is not clear, just let me know. Whether, you need to pitch what we have learned. So we have learned introduction to credit, maybe session 1, then SME banking, then we discuss about microfinancing, then we are in the project appraisal. Rebates. Jayani, good question. It's like this. Let's say now, say government, and government want to say that, the government ask us to, go and do, say, loans at say 10%, for example, customers. But as per our cost of funds, so giving maybe not 10%, say 4%, for example, 4%, so we might see a kind of a loss. So then there is a 4% cost of funds issue, because our cost is 8, but we are lending at 4. But there's a balance 4% somebody has to pay me. So the government later would come and give you. That's the kind of example for the rebate, where you try to get the cost, try to pass the benefit to customer, and for that you might get something. In a project, for example, if the government wanted to do this activity in a hurry, important, the government might instruct the private parties, go ahead and do it. So we might give some concession in terms of tax, or rebate in terms of some concessions also, because sometimes they might give a rebate on some purchasing of some materials. Earlier you have to pay a premium and all that, but now you can get that at a cost, because that part is borne by the government, or maybe reimburse you. It's again a benefit for you, right? So depending on the situation, there may be chances by the government. Vice versa, there may be duty, there may be cost like taxes and all that. So that's a negative side. So because then they are not encouraging. But rebate, concessions, grants, free consultancy are some encouragements. So some projects, yes, we do have. Now, recent example, maybe medical equipment manufacturing, the government, it wanted the local companies and go ahead and do it. So export it, we get it some income. So for example, sometimes the government could use some money back, some concessions back. So those we think as rebate for us as an entrepreneur. Maybe they have slashed some the cost of some materials, or some kind of benefit, right? It could be tax slash, a kind of a concession, or maybe grant, or maybe something that we owed, we can get back. It's a rebate, it's a support for me. Any other questions? Okay, Jack. What about others? Hope I think you are with me. So once I have done this, I will again give a kind of a snapshot of what we have done so far for the benefit of others. So then we know exactly where are we, right? Okay, then we move to TechnoApp, right? Technical appraisal, again, there may be several items. Depending on the project, you need to go and get an exact idea about the project, right? Example is technological or technical appraisal is purely to see whether technical feasibility of the project. Something, how technical feasible this project in terms of cost, in terms of pricing, in terms of structural arrangement, in terms of logistics, in terms of infrastructure. So many things. Hope you are getting me. I'll tell you example. Say apartment. When you say apartment, from approval to staircase to levels to infrastructure to water, electricity, fire, safety, right? About capacity. I mean, everything is technical now. So it's the responsibility of banker to see whether this is technically feasible. Sometimes once you've done everything, there may not be adequate space for, say, disposal of garbage and all that. So it's a problem. Not adequate parking, not adequate recreational area. So huge issue. Then you can't get the approval. So whose fault? Customer? You. Or maybe if the independent consultant is available. So very critical technically, right? So it's like similar. Say you purchase a land and then you build a house, and when you want to get the COC approval, now the municipal council say no, adequate space is there. It's like critical, because without COC, no value for the house. So it's maybe technical officer to bank and everybody to see whether we are drawing the plan and building the building based on the correct method, adequate spacing, adequate leeways. That's the technical. I mean, even about having a generator for a, say, apartment beyond 20 units. Maybe it's a must, it's a law. But technically, you have to check it. If it is not there, then later you can have it, but you may not get the approvals. So technically should be there. And wiring and all that to be there. So everything is the technical in terms of people, process, and the procedures. Right? So when you are trying to do that, it's easy to tell, but difficult to exercise and manage it. Like here, if you say the project, type of the project, the technical nature is going to change. Take agricultural project, then you need to worry about land utilization plan, crop calendar, irrigation method. Those are the things that you need to look into the agriculture, right? When you say the crop, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, so you need to have a mix. Let's say coconut, pineapple as a mix, or the coconut, pepper as a mix. So like that, you need to know that how to get the maximum out of this thing, because the income you generate will give you a money to settle your debt. The break even and everything coming here in terms of financial, but in order to feed the data to financial, the output should come in the project. So the technicalities are important. How the land utilization, if it's a paddy, so 3 terms. Then you get the maximum out of that. If so, what the seed that you are talking about? What the cultivation method you are talking about? How the irrigation work? What's the the labor? What the cost then? And it is technical feasibility going through the project cost. Right? Livestock, bird flow charts, import, fisheries, ponds, tanks, how many tanks, right? What's the tank size? So many things also will come into picture, right? Construction project, architectural, structural plans, marketing, totally different. So marketing is a different technical items we are going to see. Construction, different technicalities, right? Industrial, you say processing, mining, milling, valuation, quality improvement. So totally different about layout, machine size, utilization levels, input output ratios, after whatever the after sales or after the maintenance work, very important. What happened, like when the machine goes malfunction, and then how soon that you can bring that, so important. So depending on the project, depending on the item, so that may be critical. So if you are into exporting, say garment and all that, maybe 2-day delay cost you like millions, right? About demurrage to shipping to reputation to, and so many things. Then you need to understand, right, what are the setup of the garment factory? What could be the raw material requirement? How we are going to get that? What are the suppliers? Yes, marketing is important. Similarly, technically, the sourcing happening. So very important part is the technical appraisal. So it goes like pages by pages. So again, you need to understand at least 5-6 items under technical, and then you can say this is what technical appraisal is. You look into these things, and based on this, so we will say how feasible, how practical, and how viable the technical appraisal is, technical of the project is, right? Okay, then we move on. Yeah, it's like pages to pages. Example again. Labor utilization availability, import, skilled labor, unskilled labor, how quickly that you can train them, right? What's a like, learning curve, right? And what's a like pricing on these things, how like, how much, feasible to, train, acquire, use them, and what the outsourcing feasibility. And very important, those things are, right? You need to look into that. And then how practical source them. Now, example, when you say the garment factory, you want to put up in a, say, in an area outside the zone, and then you worry about what are the labor market. You're going to mobilize the labor, whether enough labor are there, whether they are skilled. Very critical, right? So you go to Kilinochchi and put up a garment factory. Now you need to source the labor in and out from the area. But remember, those should be adequate to work, maybe in numbers and quality also. So if those things are not happening in overnight, you need to train them beforehand. So on the technical plan, you have to that plan, training your staff. That could be part of your project cost also, the training cost. And again, the part of the management also. I mean, these are interconnected. But how these things are found? When the customer say, I'm going to Kilinochchi, this is my labor market. Then you might know, or you might have previous experience, or you might have some research has done. The people in and around are not, readily qualified, readily skilled to start work tomorrow. Then the customer might not have thought about that. You discuss, this is the requirement. Why not you take maybe 100 persons and 10 supervisors, do a kind of a training parallelly with the project. So you are going to open the factory in January. So why not you get them recruited June, July, and do a comprehensive training in the other factories with the particular customer own. And then by January, they are up and running. And then you can do it. If not, you start it and they try to recruit, then haywire. So you can't do all those things. So how find that? Because this is where that under the checklist that labor utilization available. So like that, very difficult exercise. So many things to look into. If something goes bad, as I was saying, infrastructure requirements, it's the power. You need to be very vigilant on this. Maybe not the lines, normal grid lines may not be adequate to give power to your factory. So obviously you need to have a transformer. So you need to negotiate with the Ceylon Electricity Board well ahead with the project implementation. To pay, find a selection, get installed. So that might be useful. For that you need to pay something, reserve something. So if everything done and then you see, people are complaining because their power also impacted because of your company, then you go to CB and then additional cost, extra time. Then a lot of problems because you can't deliver, you can't meet the expectations. Maybe the CB now demanding instead of 1 rupee, now they ask a 5 rupee, like 1 million to 5 million. So you understand. So like that, so you have to see all techno feasibilities, techno requirements at the project inception, at the evaluation appraisal stage. As I was telling, easy to tell, but difficult to figure this out. But only the supporting tool is because you have these checklists. As a credit officer, you do have. Then you know about when it comes to the technical nature, so you check what are the requirements: power, roads, water, waste disposal. So you check it. What do you want to do and how you're going to do, and like that. So then if there is a question, then you will further discuss and get the thing sorted out, and that goes to the project cost as well. Production process also part of the technical part. Then the management, entrepreneur appraisal, management appraisal. If you remember correct, that this is similar about the management appraisal in normal lending, but here again you need to see the quality, skills, competencies of the key management personnel, directors of the project venture, project company. very important. And you would look into their qualification, experience, skill levels, integrity, reliability, competence, how do they face with the risk, how they have acted in a crisis situation, what their vision, mission, with a balanced team, with the, like everybody is engineers, everybody is marketeers, everybody is in the lawyers. No, you can't sometimes run organization. There should be mix. There should be lawyer, engineer, marketeer, management consultant. So there may be mix of that. So then only, you know, that the management team is balanced. So you need to know, and based on that, you say how competent, how quality, how feasible this management is. So I will, you know, give you an example. Say the customers, the particular customers are, you know, very well in, say, hotel sector. Now they want to come up and start up, say, apartment or maybe tea factory. Then obviously you have a question about their expertise in tea, expertise in apartment business. Right? Generally they do have generally business experience, well connected, good networking, but that does not say they are very good at running an apartment, running a tea factory. Then you need to discuss what are their future or the proposed management structure. Who is going to head? How are you going to recruit? What are the things that you will expect from the team that you are going to hire? What are their KPIs? How are you going to source them? How much is the compensation and all that? Whether banks also could be part of the selection process. I mean, very important. If you don't have those things, then you might have, I mean, bigger issues, right? That's basically about management, entrepreneur, appraisal. Environment. So environmental is not anything, that's a pest, right? So you try to see in a given industry, in a given project, how the environment is supporting. What is the environmental feasibility? What are the political? What are the economical? What are the social? What are the technological, legal, environmental itself? If you remember correct, we have a checklist identified for each letter. And then you go into very detail, depending on the project size, amount, complexities, and the requirement. And then you come up with whether overall it's high, it's a medium, or low risk. It's a high risk, you might say environment is not conducive, it's supporting for this type of venture. It's medium, it's say 50-50. Yeah, you need to take some precautionary actions before further move on. And low, might say very supporting, I mean very less risk in terms of environment. If you take the same example, maybe when you are evaluating the apartment business today, because environment is not so great, because we see, I mean, so many projects stand still, this market, customers are not willing, purchasing power has come down, maybe government some kind of controls, right? Not so great support. So then maybe politically, economically, right? Even socially may not be very much taken by the consumers. So some sort of, you know, the vacuum or some sort of what do you call restrictions, right, in terms of apartment or condo business. So then basically this will say that real estate sector, apartment and condo sector may not exactly doing well at this point of time. So you have some red lights, not the green lights. So you should, you know, tell the, you know, new customer, you know, this is not the right time to start. So why not you wait at least another 6 to 1 year and see what exactly the way forward of this condo apartment business, and then we may start it and do. So instead, what you could do maybe different, maybe some real estate businesses like buying, purchasing, developing, selling of land blocks would be much ideal than the apartment, or maybe constructing some separate units and sell it at a medium type of market would be much feasible, not the high-end apartment. So that's basically your conclusory, your remarks for your conclusions. Financial appraisal, right? That I think we have also done it in previously. Here, very important. We talk about investment appraisal. We talk about break-even analysis. We talk about working capital management. We talk about historical financial and ratio if available. We talk about forecasting. So all sort of things are coming and testing here. Especially the customer does not have historical or current, then we are very much dependent on customer forecasted financials. So when you say forecasted financials, remember last week we have done so many assumptions in arriving the future forecast. We were discussing about the pricing, the quantity, and overheads, tax rates, like so we assume everything. And we did the kind of a forecast. And based on that, so we computed some ratios, debt service cover ratio, interest cover ratio, debt equity, and all that. So remember, those inputs are coming subject to the feasibility of other parameters. Let's say market feasibility, and based on that only you say this much of volume I can sell it. This is the pricing that I should set, because depending on the competition. If you have some issue in the market, obviously inputs are wrong, financials are wrong. Technical. Based on infrastructure, based on the labor, based on the resources, based on the utilization levels, you might come and say, you can't take 70% utilization. You can't take 80% occupancy. You have to start with 30-40% the hotel, because market not happening. You can't have that customers on board to that extent. Then what happened? End sales, end cost, end bottom line may not be forthcoming. You getting my point? So that's a very critical information. So then, based on the project items, key cost, based on what you are finding these feasibilities, you will revise the cost of the land development, other cost requirement, building requirement, working capital, contingency, vehicle, the training kind of thing. Now, originally say 100 million is the cost. Now the cost has increased to 110 million. Why? Because all other parameters, all other evaluations, when you are done with, so needing some correction, needing some additional cost. So the total cost now is 110. When you think about this, the total cost, this is the revised financing plan, this is the implementation plan, this is the monitoring kind of thing we have. Projected financial ratio analysis, investment. So those are part of the financial appraisal. I mean, this is very key. This is the pinnacle. Like you do all feasibilities, so get the inputs, end up with the financial feasibility. Then you see what is my DSCR, what is my interest cover, what is my cash flows, what is my other bottom line data. Because ultimately this should be financially viable. Economically, environmentally, but financially viable, you can't pay off the debt. But financially viable because you get all the inputs from other feasibilities. If something is not going to take place, will have a direct impact on financial. Environment is not supporting, you can't have that market. Market is not happening, management not happening, technical not happening, economic not happening. No inputs, assumptions are now wrong. Maybe social assumptions are wrong. Some legal restrictions, you can't do that business. Obviously, then you can't sell it. Like suddenly what happens? Legally, now there's a requirement. First 3-4 floors cannot sold to foreigners. Suddenly we get something. Politically driven legal requirement. Now, as per original projection, you even were ready to sell your apartments even at the ground floor to foreigners. So based on that, you have set your budget, financial plan. Now suddenly you come and say no, you can't. Then you have to revisit the first four floors. Only beyond that. Now the foreigners may not be willing. Now you go to the local market. The pricing now you have to come down. Volumes have to come down. Cash flows now coming down. Repayment now extended. You getting my point? So that is like, you know, I work, again come back and rework, come back. So that's the fine tune last proposal. Then again there may be changes. You remember we do some sensitivity scenario analysis. That's also possible. After doing comprehensive thing, you come up with a financial plan, and then again there may be changes. What happened? Increase. What happened? Decrease. What happened? Other costs come. And what is my DSCR? Because you need to be ready for the ultimate eventuality. You never know, that also could be changed. Then again you need to do some this thing at various implementation level. But I mean to say, at least, because everything is dependent on so many variables, this is not easy exercise. Hope you getting me. Finally, economic appraisal, that is all about what support, what do you call restrictions would economy direct to your project. Labor intensity, export orientation, import substitution, raw material usage, value addition, other economic benefits, economic IRR are the things that you need to be worried with. So depending on the government, from last government to this government, if you see that more economic support towards the export projects, towards the local driven businesses, towards the local entrepreneurs, towards the hotel and tourism sector. So it's a plus point. It's a support. Or rather you say now we may not support the agriculture. So prepare, go for the imports. We better go for the trading, less support to the manufacturing. So then it's totally different. So in that sense, your focus should be based on that economic plan, that social plan, that political plan. But today it's a bit different. Then you know these guys would benefit. So our projects be benefited. Instead of breaking even in 1 year, now you can do in 9 months. Because why? Our products are import substitutes. The government has stopped imports. So easily you can do many sales, more sales, much sales. Right. What that we have basically we want to talk about the project appraisal items. Before moving to further, actually this is all about further reading, but before that, do we have any questions? Any questions, so that I can answer those things before moving to the rest. No questions? Jayani, Jude, Mohan, Abhishek, Sanjeev, Samanmali, are you all with me, or are you in a... Okay, thanks Abhishek. What about others? Yeah, EIRR, FIRR meaning, good question. I will come back to Jayani on that. Okay, Sanjeev. Tarushika. Thanks, Samanmali. Right. Basically, Jayani, now actually that day we discussed about IRR. So IRR basically, when we discussed, if in default it is financial IRR, right? But we also can think about economic IRR, environment IRR as well, because it takes some inputs in terms of economic front, some inputs on environmental front. So that basically, when you say financial IRR, you look basically financial inflows and outflows. But when you are trying to do economic IRR, you also see some benefits and cost in terms of economic, in terms of environment. Now, in example, let's say economic, we talk about generally about labor, inflation, taxing, and import substitution, like that. So also you can, bring them to in a quantified cash inflow and cash out. So inflow, it could be kind of a saving that you are supporting the environment. A cost would be that you are debiting. Example, when you want to say a support environment by doing some labor, I mean some employment, that could be inflow in terms of financial. The cost could be, in order to put up a factory, you might have to unsettle some kind of a dwellings there. So that's again cost. You getting my point, Jani? There may be something in the economic cost, economic benefit, environmental cost, environmental benefit. So the benefit, you will say cash inflow, you will monetize it and you put. Cost could be outflow. Then again you have inflow and outflow, net cash flow. You do a calculation, then you come up with IRR. That is basically economic IRR. Similar exercise, but you have now different cost and different benefits to measure the environmental impact, measure the economic impact. But generally we say financial IRR, but bigger projects like harbor, like highways, like airports, you try to do environmental impact and economic impact. The financial IRR එක සමහරවිට 12% වෙන්න පුළුවන්, economic IRR එක 13 වෙන්න පුළුවන්, environmental IRR එක 15 වෙන්න පුළුවන්, because there may be additional impact. Good. Am I clear to Jaini? Okay, right. Any other questions? Because we have almost done. This part is, the rest is basically for your reading. But before that, I want to make a kind of a summary of what we have been doing so far, so that everybody in the same page, so that we can continue with the next lecture about the SIG projects, and then we have done with that. So thereafter we can go to the past paper discussion. Any questions up to now? Okay, right. So then before moving to the next, what I will try to do is I will take you through a kind of right. Now you can see the board. Right. You can see the board fully. If I write between in these two lines, you can see it. Okay, thanks, Yanni. Right, so we'll take that route. So basically, what we have done is, so initially we talk about introduction to Revit. There we talk about some definitions about project financing and types of lending, and some basic differences and between different types of lending. So that's our session 1. Then we move to the session 2, that is about SME. SME banking. We discuss about products, and we discuss about sources of financing, internal, external, and we talk about here universal banking. We need to talk about issues we yet to discuss, issues and the problems faced by SME, and what are the remedies we could give, right? So that's like basically part 2. Yes, some actually we have discussed under session 2 and 3, but we have not discussed some of like remedial issues, problems faced by the SME. So those things I will discuss with you when we discuss the past paper questions, because we need that also to great extent. because you can see so many past paper questions to that extent, right? This is basically about the introduction is I mean very brief, and session 2 and 3 is all about SME. We talk about SME definitions, products, sources of financing like internal, external, and what are the sort of detailed product descriptions. I told you like you need to know at least 12 to 15 type of products. I mean, we have discussed about some structures also, what they exactly we need to know, right? Because the examiner would ask those things, right? So no worries that when we do in past papers that we will take those things also into account, right? So basically we part session 1, session 2, and session 3. Then we discussed, you need not to write it down, just to recap what we have done by sharing, because 1 or 2 people are started joined later, right? A third is basically later, right? A third one is basically microfinancing. Actually, here again we did in very detail. That's about definitions and about issues, and we talk about methods, Microfinancing Act, right, and microfinancing institutions, and about myths and realities. I mean, so many things we learned about microfinancing under the session 4. So basically, here we get the question alternatively, right? Maybe not every question paper, but at least we have one question, and not maybe the next season or the after next season we maybe get the kind of question. So alternatively we have got a question. So again I am telling, very easy, you can get maximum marks, and then you need to also do this. But again, no worries, we will do past paper questions for that as well, at least select a couple of questions. So that's all about session 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we move to the project appraisal, which was basically a longest session. When we do the project appraisal, so today basically we talk about a detailed project appraisal. Here we discuss about definition and feasibilities and risk, and also like steps of project appraisal, and maybe cost items. So today that what we basically wanted to discuss this. This is like pinnacle of project appraisal. But in order to arrive this, we have done several other areas. That is, say, starting with break-even, working capital, financial statement and ratio, forecasting, and we did non-financial tools, and we did investment analysis. So those things we did it as a inputs to project appraisal. And we did sometimes some questions like illustration in the class as well, right? But as I instructed you, there may be so many questions could come into in terms of these areas also. Like we have found some break-even questions in past papers. We have some investment analysis question in the past papers about about payback, about IRR, about NPV. Right? Also, we see some working capital computation, definitions, interpretations, and then about financial statement ratio. Again, about they're asking about not mathematical or the quantitative things, but qualitative areas. And then forecasting, we have not got any questions, but non-financial tools, again, we got some questions about how to apply Porter's five process, how to apply SWOT model, how to apply pistol, that kind of a question. And then this could be useful in evaluating project appraisal, as we have done today. Feasibility studies, when you say market appraisal, maybe non-financial tools like Porter's 5 process would be useful. And the management appraisal, you can use non-financial tool like SWOT. When you say financial analysis, it could be the financial to ratio to forecasting to investment to working to break even, and everything could be useful. So that's what so far what we have done. So then finally what we have to do is, as the last session, that is about follow-up, recovery, seek business, NPL, kind of activity. Yeah? Once you granted a credit, you may come across some issues in performing, some issues in moving forward. For that, actually, we have to do some more activities. So that is basically the last session that we are planning to do next week. So thereafter, we have maybe 4 to 5 weeks dedicated for past papers. So I am trying to select as many as questions which we have not done during the class to cover almost all areas, including the MCQs. So that, as per my feeling, we are in a better position to answer whatever the question that examiner would give us, which is to be commenced in November, right? So that is basically, I just wanted to share with you what we have done so far, so that you can recap any missing areas that you are not comfortable, you have missed it, and then you can be ready. And right, if you do have any questions, that you can let me know, so that I can touch it in detail when I am doing the past papers, because otherwise I am in the presumption that you are happy with everything, you know everything, so then I can go through the past paper questions without any problem. But if not, if you do have any questions, then we can think about doing it and discussing it. Right. So any questions of what we have discussed? Just concluded the area, or just before that we discuss about project financing, project appraisal. Any questions before we are moving to the rest of the presentation? Any thoughts? Right. It means that it's clear, but I know that it's not a very difficult area. But anyway, you need to have that flow in your mind, that what we have done and what is the relevance for this area, what is the exam content, and why what we have learned, whatever the initial whatever ingredients, and how it is linked up with the total project. So those are the things that you need to be keep in your mind. Then it is easy. Right, in the project appraisals, you have a one A4 sheet, so you do have all those things, and then you know which area basically that I should be worried about, right? And which area the questions has been frequently posted. So then these could be repeated. So then I should work this more and more, right? In terms of break even, what are the possible maximum possible questions the examiner would ask? So I know 1 to 6. I'm done with that. Investment analysis, what exactly he has given and what should I be thorough with. So like that. So you need to be a bit of do some homework before going to the exams. The exams basically now it's in November, so we have enough time, right? So, but only thing is you need to start it today as well, so that you can finish it off this like easy subject before you move into some difficult subjects ahead of you, right? So if you don't have any questions, we just move to some of the other items of the presentation. So I'll share it, whatever the key areas, so that you can read through at your leisure. Here, key items, steps in project appraisal, because since that we discussed the activities before we are going to the project appraisal. So here again, I will, as the additional reading, I'll just, share some of the things which I feel important, right? Here we talk about the interview, right? Because we said we want to meet the customer and it should be open and straight, right? And why this, these interviews are taking place? Because it's open, straightforward. It's because to, understand and clear the gray areas. It basically gives the opportunity to examine the client interest and knowledge in the particular project venture and how to way forward. If necessary, you make suggestion and recommendation, because that's basically the interview. Because we go not like stereotype, it's going for the open mind. We might have gone through what he has submitted, we have collected some more data, so we have some kind of idea about the project, customer also having a kind of project. So we need to thrash out some differences and come to kind of agreement. If you feel that these are some risky, then you need to convince the customer and get his opinion. So probably we might say the cost is overestimated. Then when you are discussing, the customer would say, these are the points that cost could go more than normal. And when you say cost is underestimated, the customer would come and tell you, because I have some stocks with me, raw material with me, some kind of thing, so that I have my own labor, I have own labor company, so that I can manage it. So that's how the customer may not purposely put the cost higher or cost lower, but you need to understand it, because when both are in the same wicket, same stage, it is easy to discuss and proceed. Before inspection, right? If you are happy with the interview, give a date and time for the inspection, prepare groundwork for inspection, go through already collected info, items to be checked, detail to be looked into, questions to be asked, make a visit plan. Very important, right? Now, not like general project, general business, in a project inspection, there may be several inspection that you can do. Maybe the inspection could be to get an initial idea about the project, or that you can inspect a project halfway through, that's a progress inspection, or maybe project completion inspection, or maybe project follow-up inspection, or maybe recovery visit, right? So many visits, but different names. When you say different names, and different items also to be checked. When you say initial inspection, you can't see many things, right? It's maybe the bare land. Then you see location, infrastructure, road frontage, quality of the land, but the access roads and all those things. That's what initially you look into. Maybe halfway through, land may be cleared and be developed, fencing, putting up a building, maybe lighting and all that things are coming. So it's a different structure. Further, you see, internal works are happening. You see the quality as per the plan, leeways, access, whatever infrastructure. So like that. Maybe completion, you see totally different, complete picture about painting to finishing to quality level and all those things. And maybe the maybe pilot just before the opening up, then you sometimes go for the opening also. You see a different picture. So time to time, you need to go visit, but the checklist is different. What are the things that you are going to check? There should be have a kind of a proper understanding about what I'm going to check, as against what, as against budget, as against original plan, as against revised budget, right? So you need to check those things, whether you are in line with that. Any deviations, what are the corrective action? Then and there you can discuss and do it, because that is very important. Because this is anyway, it's part of your responsibility also. If you remember correct, these are for survivals. Because say 1 billion project, you also put 400-500 million, means it's critical. You also lose a lot of money if something goes bad, right? So that basically tells about the the work in progress, right? So new enterprise projects, then you talk about location, fixed assets available, availability of utilities, other factors, right? That's what I'm telling. When you are visiting, you see the location to access to, infrastructure available to, utilities available to, right? And what are the other factors, like how to find the manpower and like. So those are some of the things that you can check. These are the location what you are going to check, and the land, right? This is what exactly you need to check. Extent, nature, development is required, filling, leveling, retaining walls, draining, year of purchase, purchase price, bid price, estimated current value. Very important. When you have this checklist, so you are complete. Right? You are not going to check and see whether, ask ad hoc questions. But here, you're not asking ad hoc question because it's a checklist. So sometimes you might give the customer instruction saying, you need some leveling here. You need some filling here. Why not you have a retaining wall, a draining? There may be disposal, waste disposal methods to be adopted. That when you are discussing with that, then customer also come to a light and say, yes, we need. And then maybe cost could be now revised. What is the advantage of doing this? So if you are not looking, identifying these things, later anyway, this is required. Then additional cost could come into the project cost. Then somebody has to fund them, either customer or you. But it's not easy. At the first attempt, yes, you can easily get it done and approved after justification. But later you say cost overrun and then you go to the board to approve may not be easy as what you have done initially. Right? So then again, a project inspection is very key. So this is basically what we are trying to understand. And each cost item, what are you going to do? As my checklist, I have given these things because this is very important. If you are really a project officer, if you are really a credit officer, so these things make your life easy. Right? Then you say, even the land, you have to say what's the extent, nature, access, whether deeds are available, lands are available, they are approved, any kind of some abnormalities that you might see, there may be. Right? When you say the extent, like maybe 5 purchase, 10 purchase, 15 purchase, by your eyes that you can say, it's okay. Maybe nature, so hilly land, flat land, commercial land, agri land, may be important, marshy land, right? Depending on that, your perception would differ. Sometimes you can see, so there is a land is going to mortgage, but you might see there is some portion of the building located in the other land has invaded, or maybe part of that is in your land. Then it's problem. Take this as a mortgage, it's not a freehold. That's some legal encumbrances because that part has come here. The customer might say, no, a building a land. But when you come to the legal terms, this is part of the next building. Right? Then you can't take this as a freehold or the legally free of encumbrances. So like that. So when you're visiting, you can see all those things, and then you can take a call there. It's about building structures. Right? When you say what are the things that you would look into, and based on that your cost could be different, because the valuer could be give independent opinion. But again, you also have your opinion depending on what you observe there. Right? So maybe machinery and equipment. Then again, another areas that you need to check: make, model, identification number, installed capacity, purchase price, service contract, history of machine repairs, evident technical problems, because these things are important. Why? Because sometimes the customer may be going for a similar type of machine. But if you found out some issues with the existing machine, then you need to know how we are going to make corrective action if it come again. Maybe you need to revisit the service level agreements. That may have been not thought about by the customer. But now you can do it. Because you know that by experience, these things could crop up with respect to the other customers. Those are some learning points. Remember, we talk about evaluation and review, about completed projects. So you have some good learning experience, which also you can share with your customer. Right? So why I'm telling all those things may be because when you are discussing bigger projects, bigger investments, you need to understand, these things perfectly. If small things going in a wrong way, would cost heavily towards the project implementation, timelines, target budgets, income, cash flows, bottom lines. So then, as much as possible, need to take corrective action upfront before before installation, before starting the project. Hope you have got those things. Any questions? You can continue in this way, but not many. But these things I just for your reading, but I haven't seen these things come to questions. But it's good that you go through these things and then get an idea on this, right? So this is again I discussed with you. This part is basically the key cost which you have discussed. This you can use this as a checklist for you whenever you are trying to do these type of things, right? Maybe you are not exactly working in a bank as a project officer, credit officer, but you can share those things with your team and they may be useful whenever you have all those things, right? Because you may not miss many items. If you take example under building and other works, see areas of observation. Should study the suitability, approval from the environmental authorities, proposed building, the proposed purpose, competency. So these are sometimes for your inspection purposes. When you are trying to look at these things, might be useful, right? Then like you work as maybe in-house and then you approve without looking at the environment and outside, they are costlier, especially when you talk about the project financing. Not other, project financing is very critical, right? And then last document is the cash flow based lending. So you can read through, because this is again part 1 and the project, the session 11. Session 1 also we discuss about project definition and all that. Here actually I have given in detail about project financing, formulation, monitoring, appraisal, like those things. You can also read through, because sometimes that this is a project appraisal that we have done, but when you are read through these things, I think I have taken most of the things for my presentation, but if you have time, just read through. So this gives you an overall about project financing, project appraisal, and what is about the projects, right? That's all about I need to discuss with you. Any questions? Any questions? Jude, Jani, Abhishek, all are happy? All are with me? I know today's session is not very technical or difficult, but only thing is bit of theory, right? But anyway, it can't help that you need to go through, and that's why actually I have taken so long to do this at last stage, because we have done several ingredients at the initial levels. So then you know what exactly items that requiring to complete the project appraisal. So then with that, you know exactly what is the project appraisal is. Now, as we take, there are 3 pillars: SME, micro, and project appraisal. So basically, we have completed those 3, and then we have also done introduction. So with that, actually, I have said 90% of the syllabus has done. And one more basically that is common to SME customers and as well as micro customers as well as project customers. So we will do that next week. So with that, as I was telling you, so we can wind up the sessions in theory and then start up the past papers. So also you can if you do have any questions in the last 3 or past papers relevant to these key areas, please be ready for discussion, so that if you can do those things at when you are at leisure, so we can do it and finalize in a rapid mode at the past paper question discussion, so that you can do many questions during the 4 or 5 weeks that we are allowed to do so, right? So if you don't have any questions, I'm going to wind it up for today. So thank you very much for being with me, and again wish you a very nice weekend ahead. So we'll meet up next week. Right. Thank you.